All right, testing. This is Delta Penguin from TechPeng. Continuing on with the 0 to I'm trying to use any copyright stuff. 0 to up and running. Quick start guide to side projects in React. Yeah. So next, I'm gonna take a break from some of this. Well, I still have website stuff, but let's take a break and move towards some UI. What would you call this? Some UI styling. So heading back to our current website. There's something called there's a library called Bootstrap that we're going to learn about here in this lesson. So Bootstrap is pretty popular. And let's see. There's probably a more technical, better way to explain this. Bootstrap. React. Can I use React with Bootstrap? It can be used directly on elements and components in your React app. So what is it? It takes the CSS framework of Bootstrap and replaces any existing JavaScript with strictly React components. Okay. Is a CSS framework? Okay, CSS framework, I guess, is the more technical term for it. All right, so let's see. How are we going to implement Bootstrap into it? Well, first of all, what is Bootstrap? Oops. So if we kind of go, actually, let's go back. Is there an official website here somewhere? Let's see. Bootstrap 5. I forget if there's a specific. Okay, get Bootstrap. Nope. Let me just focus on the web page for now. Okay, official one, get Bootstrap. The most popular HTML, CSS, JS library in the what? I'm kind of curious now. In the world. Ooh, nice. Wait, with all the love in the world. That might not be the same thing. Anyway, so Bootstrap docs, and let's take a look. Get started with Bootstrap. So there's different kind of, I guess, frameworks or libraries you can use to sort of help style your app or your website. Because in this case, I'm just using mostly straight up HTML and CSS, and it does look kind of interesting. But to get a more kind of streamlined or professional look, you want to be more consistent about stuff and kind of style things a certain way. It's the big ones right now that I know of are like Bootstrap and Material UI are some of the big ones there. Bootstrap seems to focus on, well, some uniform looks, but then focus on responsiveness, which I've noticed it is quite snappy if you're using Bootstrap. Where Material UI looks more polished and has a cool kind of 3D effect to it. There's a lot of elements that you can like provide a depth to it, and then it'll kind of draw like a shadow and give it a nice sort of 3D outline look to like the cards and stuff. So Material UI definitely looks cooler, and I think you can make your site look more unique with Material UI. But Bootstrap is a lot snappier. Like whenever I use Material UI, sometimes I don't know, when I go from one to the other, I just feel like I just feel the lag when I'm using Material UI. Maybe there's a way to improve it. I don't know, but I feel like it's pretty noticeable. but it's kind of, because it's so popular, it is good to get some familiarity with what Bootstrap is and sort of test and using some of their components. So we're at the official Bootstrap website. Let's see, is docs what I'm looking for? Okay. So a common one would be like cards. And so they define a card as something kind of like this, where it's a container, but then, you can have like, okay, image, title, some text, and a button to go somewhere. And then they'll give you like the code snippet of how you would create something like that. Or let's see, they have other forms of cards, something like this. Let's see, can I click it? Okay, list of groups. Okay, just a way to put some groups items together. They call something like this a kitchen sink, I guess. I guess it's a combination of card and the listed items together. Okay, it has a header and a footer. And so you can kind of look at what kind of components they've created for you already. And then see, if you like the way it looks, you can try to incorporate it into your website. Oh, this is kind of nice. Quote, and has like little italics or something. Here. Other examples could be like a badge, which is just kind of like this, this kind of colored oval-ish, or what do you call that? Not an oval, but colored rounded corner rectangle with some text there. And you can see, well, actually, I'll give some more examples. You have some buttons. So instead of having like kind of the bland boilerplate sort of button, where it's like, it's gray and, it provides the automatic mouse over, but it's still kind of like plain. You can make it more stylized, where if you create a button like this instead, you just have to give it a specific class name. So button primary, and then it'll change it to this guy. Or if you do button secondary, it'll change it to this guy. And then they have some predefined colors that look kind of good together, so that you don't have to think or worry about that. Or similar buttons, but having it instead where it's defaultly sort of like just an outline, and then when you hover over it, it kind of fills in. Do these do anything? Okay, these sort of a little bit, but it's a lot harder to notice. So let's see, if we look at an example of one of the sites that I use, you can see that this is a Bootstrap button. And this is an example of where you would use like a badge. So it's a nice little look to it, right? Oh, see, there's the, I think, primary button and secondary. Yeah, so Bootstrap is pretty snappy, but I think in part because it's so popular, they say that when you create like a site with Bootstrap, it looks nice, but at the same time, after a while, a lot of the Bootstrap sites kind of look very samey, very similar, because everyone's using the same, primary, secondary color kind of buttons. Where Material UI, again, slower, but you can definitely be more distinctive and it looks more polished. And then they have other things like carousel. So if you had multiple pictures, you could have one that, well, you can have it all in one spot. Similar, but it has a little, I guess, a little preview down here, or whatever you want to call this, an extra button. Okay, captions. And if you see other sites, you can see other sites that have them. Let's see, I think Meetup. Okay, here you go. Yeah, so you can see here, Meetup is kind of using, it's probably like Bootstrap, kind of like cards. Or it might be Material UI, but you don't really see the 3D effect of it. Like, And this is not a carousel, but some kind of like scrolling thing. But these are in essence probably like cards without the outline. Oh. Yeah, and they provide, let's see, different kind of drop downs. This has examples here too, and then the kind of code that you would use for it. All right. Ooh, okay, nice. Drop downs with the colors there. But yeah, it's kind of fun to see just like what they have and how you can figure out how to piece it into your own website. So they have something called the nav bar, which a lot of sites, kind of like up here, a lot of sites will have something like this, where you have like the logo, some different links, and maybe like a search bar, or like, hey, the user icons, or so a common, nav bar, or sometimes a common sidebar. So this is also the main content here, and then a sidebar of different links or items. They have things like, was it breadcrumbs, which is when you have navigation, kind of like, oh, like this, where it sort of pieces it out. All right, so let's see if we can get something like this going on our website. So now that we know the gist of what it is. Okay, we can, I'll start with a button because that's pretty, a button is pretty obvious if it's working or not. So let's go primary, copy this guy, go back to our code. Where is it? Nope, app. Okay, is this, no, that's not, oh, app CSS, that's not it, app.js. Maybe I'm just not in the right spot. Where is the other button? Yeah. Here it is. Click me to change favorite. I'm gonna, whoops, what did I do? What did I do? Here we go. Let's say this is Bootstrap button. And I make it clear, make it obvious. I'm gonna save it. Okay, I did what they told me. I put this in. Let's see, is it gonna work offhand? Oh no, it looks the same as the other button. So something, there's still more that needs to be done. So let's see how to install Bootstrap with React. The best way to consume React Bootstrap is via the npm package. Okay. And then let's take a look at this guy. This is from React Bootstrap. Installation, okay. Oh wait, it says npm. That's something we're familiar with, right? The node package manager. That's how it installs libraries. So let's give this a shot. As a heads up, the package.json is where it lists all of our packages that we're using, our dependencies. So what's required from our project. So right now it looks like it wants React Bootstrap and Bootstrap. And we don't have any of that at the moment. So let's give that a shot. So normally this is installing one package. If you had a space, you can have multiple packages. So it's installing two packages, this one and this one, or this one and then this one. So let's just give this a shot. We copy this. Let's go back to our command line. I'm in the middle of running it, so let me Control-C cancel. Okay, ls, am I still in the right spot? Yep, super cool app. So in the project, I need to run this npm install command. That's the same thing as, sometimes I ran npm I. That's just a shorthand for install. So either way. So npm install, let's see what happens. This is a trustworthy package. Okay. Okay, it added 20 packages and then it runs some tests because it adds the packages and tries to find out if they're compatible and and whatnot. And it found six high severity vulnerabilities. So that's not ideal, but just for our test purposes, we can kind of ignore it, and it's okay for just our test purposes for now. But if you need to, you can kind of like npm audit and sort of see more details about it. It's like, oh, so it's in this package, an nth check package in item and versions that's lower than 2.0.1, and then explains the error message. Oh, is there okay, this some other package, I guess svgo, depends on a vulnerable version of CSS select. So one package is using another one that has some bug in it, and so they're saying that's not a good thing. So it's tricky because you have so many packages, it can be hard to sort through it all and maintain it, but npm tries to help you out with some of it. But yeah, so for now we're just testing, we're just so we can ignore that for now. We're not managing any sensitive data or the like. Okay, so supposedly it installed npm, the React Bootstrap, and the Bootstrap libraries. Let's see if that's true. If we go back to package.json, oh, so now we have a Bootstrap package, and it's version 5.2.3, and React Bootstrap and that's version 2.7.2. Okay, that's good. Let's see if we can npm start. Let's get this website back up and running, and we'll see if it's working now. We installed the packages, so okay. Wait, it looks like it's the same. Let's try refreshing. Nope, this looks still the same. So something's still not right. Let's see anything else that says installation. You can import the individual components. Browser global. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna, let's see. The following line can be included in your source. Okay. I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I know that we need to import some, something like this needs to be imported in. And so at the app level, so this looks familiar with what I've done before. So I'm gonna check that. Import app.js or index.js. So let's go to the code. In this case, we want to do it at the top level. App.js is where we were working, but let's say right around here. So if you remember when we, okay, date 2023, all right, added Bootstrap in, or add to import Bootstrap in at project at top level. We'll call it, say that. So write in a comment, because the very highest level is index.js. It's calling the app, I guess, element, tag, or item, or component from here, the same folder level, and called app. So it'd be app.js or app.ts. So I did it at a little bit higher level. And if I do it there, then I don't have to import it underneath to any of the components underneath it. That import is kind of like the same thing that we did with useEffect, right? The library already existed because when we ran the create React app, it automatically installed some libraries for us, like React and some other ones like React DOM, React scripts. Okay. So that library was already imported, but we have to tell it what are we using from that library. So we had to import this whenever we use state, And we have to import this whenever we want to use effect or do a load of the data at the beginning of the site. I mentioned a little bit before, there's a little bit more to it. This array here at the end is a dependency array. If I wanted to, I could put a variable name in here so that whenever that variable changes, it'll run this function again. So it runs it at the very start. And then if anything here changes, you can run it again. So that could be like, hey, if this was actually loading like the user data, then I could put like, okay, the user, if I had a user variable like the user or something, I could put it in this array so that like if the user changes, well, obviously that means we need to reload the user data, right? Like if someone logs out of the website and logs in as someone different, and obviously we need to rerun the query to call the API again to get the new user's data. So that's a practical example of what kind of item you would put in and why you would do it. Okay. So that's a little extra tidbit on use effect. But yeah, so stuff like that is, here's how you would import the special functionality from this library. So likewise, we're saying, hey, from the Bootstrap library, which we didn't have before, but we do now because we ran npm install Bootstrap and React Bootstrap. So now that we have that, go to that library and get us this. Oh, it looks like it's getting a CSS file. One thing about Bootstrap is it's basically all just a huge CSS file because it's primarily about styling. And how Bootstrap works is that it styles everything, and so all you need to do is import like the special class names. And if you do the special class names, it'll know, okay, for a button with these classes, I need to, create this item with the rounded edges in the color of, button primary, secondary, success, etc. So behind the scenes, that's how Bootstrap is working. It's just a huge CSS file, and then give it the right properties, the class names, and then it'll know to style it using that CSS file. Okay. So, and if you recall CSS, okay, I'll go back a bit. If you recall, CSS is the way of styling, kind of the way to style things, like the background color, right? And the color of the text. And other things like, oh, am I going to line it up with the center or to the left or to the right? So that's kind of the gist of it. All right, so I did that. I save it because I want it everywhere. I want this CSS to be everywhere. Okay, I save a bunch of times. Let's see if it worked. If we go reload, hey, look at that. I reloaded, and all of a sudden, now I have a button with the primary Bootstrap. And again, it's just the visual side of it. So there's no special logic, at least in this case. I guess the carousel and cards are kind of special and might have some logic somehow attached to it. But I know that, okay, so where's that Bootstrap button? It's a beauty. It's a beauty. So what else can I do with it? Where I know there's a few different colors. How was that? How about there's secondary? Secondary. Save. Oh, yep, it happened. Now it's gray. Tertiary. Is that one? Oh, nope, that isn't one. How about, I know so I gave it a name I didn't recognize. Danger. Yep, danger. Success. Info. Oops. Info. See, there you go. So now you can like kind of style your buttons a bit more nicely, or in terms of the Bootstrap way. If you wanted to, you could always override some of the styles as well. But yeah, that's the gist. I mentioned again that the card is a pretty popular Bootstrap item. A lot of people use it. So let's just see if we can get a basic card going as well. Card. Let's find a decent looking one, or a good looking one, maybe for our stuff. I did kind of like that quote one. Where was it? Okay. Oh wait, this is kind of interesting. Okay, I thought, I don't know if it's working properly. I think it's supposed to switch tabs. All right, let's just check. Control F to search quote. I know you were here somewhere. Here it is. Okay, I believe it's well-known quote. Okay, it's this guy here, based on the text. So let's just copy this guy. And how about we'll put it under the button. Okay, and I can maybe make it look a little nicer. Tab, 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 tab. Kind of line up these guys. I'll say my quote. Home. My quote. So I'm going to change it a little bit just so, well, why not personalize it? I might as well just start here and see if it works. Control S. Let's save it. Hey, look at I want some space. I'm going to use the special bonus points if you remember. Break tag. Yeah. Didn't want to work, huh? Try another one. Break tag. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Just needed a couple because technically it was over here and just overflowing. So, okay, my quote, well-known quote, someone famous in source title, someone famous in source title. Okay, so that's how they're using some special tags site. Let's say, know yourself, and 1,000 victories are yours. Aha. Or golden rule, be unto others as you would have them. Aha. Nice. But you can see it just gives you a nice little card, easy peasy. I just copy pasted it, and it has a sort of like, more professional look, spacing to it. It's pretty nice. Cool. Well, that's Bootstrap for you. Again, it's just like Legos for adults. It's a way to just gotta find the pieces, figure out how they piece together, and then just putting them together and try to make something beautiful. I'll say that's good for this video.